for this historic day. We're joined by our incredible speaker, Adrian Adams, Majority Leader Amanda Farias, and Council Members Rafael Salamanca, Pierina Sanchez, Shahana Hanif, Crystal Hudson. I'm not sure if Sean Abreu is here yet. Rita Joseph. Oh, he is? Oh, I didn't even see you. Sorry, Sean. Rita Joseph, Shekhar Krishnan, Keith Powers, Lincoln Ressler, and I'm sure that we will be joined by others, and there may be one or two that I've missed, but we'll catch them. We're also joined by many of the advocates who have championed the housing policies and investments that New Yorkers need to thrive, which are part of the Council's City for All plan. I want to acknowledge representatives from ANHD, Center for New York Neighborhoods, City Neighborhoods, Community Service Society of New York, the Legal Aid Society, New York Housing Conference, Open New York, Legal Services New York, WIN, Mobilization for Justice, and Communities Resist. Housing is a fundamental pillar of safety and stability for our city and its neighborhoods. It unlocks the ability for people to pursue opportunity, something that I know personally from my own experiences of homelessness and housing insecurity. Today, we are here to highlight the $5 billion in commitments that the Council secured for a City of All housing plan that will benefit our communities and the entire city. Yay. It's a big deal, guys. It's a very big deal. This plan was the result of listening to the needs of everyday New Yorkers who are facing growing housing and economic pressures. We heard from working families and residents who are struggling to find a home, to afford rent or cost to maintain their homes, and in some cases, to live in dignified housing conditions that we all deserve. As council members representing all corners of this diverse city, we see, hear, and feel the impacts of their housing crisis. We know, whether it's from our constituents or even our own family members, how hard it is right now for New Yorkers to make ends meet. We know that the need to build more homes through our zoning reforms is imperative to resolve this crisis. At the same time, those challenges alone cannot address all of the housing challenges that we're facing across our city. Too many of the hundreds of thousands of residents living in NYCHA developments do not have their apartments maintained at the level of quality that they deserve to be safe, many of whom I happen to represent. Many New Yorkers are unhoused or on the brink of homelessness and need better access to City FEP's housing vouchers that can help them gain stability. That's why the Council believed that it was imperative that we push for a comprehensive housing plan to invest in both steps that alleviate many of the challenges that zoning cannot address now. Amplifying the voices of New Yorkers and working together with many here today, we put forward a plan to deliver greater housing security, deeper affordability, and the neighborhood investments needed. I am especially proud that our City for All plan prioritizes funding to support our public housing residents whose living conditions have not had been enough of a priority. That was really important to us. We really pushed for that. I represent the largest public housing stock in the entire city, and continue to be very disappointed by the state of our public housing developments and the fact that we're not doing enough to really help mitigate the day-to-day issues that our residents are facing, and by issues I mean basic necessities like refrigerators and stoves, and patching a hole in the wall and remediating the rats that are coming in now, which is incredible to even believe. When I moved into public housing at the age of 9, it was unheard of to even see a mouse, and now people are living with actual rats in their apartment, and that to me and to this body was just, something that we couldn't just pass by. So I really want to thank, the speaker and our leadership team for pushing for that. Because of that, we were able to secure $2 billion in additional capital investments that support repairs for NYCHA tenants' apartments and making the 5,000 vacant public housing apartments available as homes for New Yorkers. The funding will also support increased affordable housing development and preservation of privately managed apartment buildings, including Michelamas and HDFCs. I'm also excited that we will deliver over $400 million in funding for City FEP's vouchers, including for use in buildings converted from homeless shelters to permanently affordable homes. To protect tenants, the plan will also baseline funding for anti-harassment tenant protection programs, strengthen the city's focus on rooting out source of income discrimination, and bolster supportive housing programs. We can't forget the $2 billion in infrastructure investments that we were able to secure, which will go towards necessary improvements for flood mitigation of our stormwater, drainage, and sewer systems, street upgrades, and open spaces. All of these investments will have a tangible, lasting impact on our communities and New Yorkers. Yet it must be a foundation that we continue to build upon. If we are truly to confront our housing crisis, we must continue to create more new we need to create more new homes and invest in the housing supports that New Yorkers need. With the City for All housing plan, we are investing in the people of our city. We could not have done it without the partnership of everyone here, especially the leadership of our speaker. So let's hear from her. It is my honor to introduce the Speaker of the City of New York, the City Council of New York, Adrienne Adams.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker Ayala, for the introduction and for everyone joining us here today as we highlight the unprecedented $5 billion in commitments secured for the Council's City for All housing plan. Let me also just say that I'm so happy that the lights are on in the rotunda today. I want to acknowledge the tremendous leadership of our great Deputy Speaker, Diana Ayala, Land Use Chair, Rafael Salamanca, Housing and Buildings Chair, Pierina Sanchez, as well as the Council members, all of you who are here with us today. I also want to recognize the advocates and community partners here who are on the ground every single day fighting for a stronger city for all New Yorkers. Thank you all for being here today. It was the work of everyone here and many others who are not here that helped make these housing and neighborhood investments a reality. I also want to acknowledge the $1 billion commitment from Governor Hochul and the state of New York to support the City for All housing plan. This council has understood the importance of our being a constructive partner in building more housing across the city, especially at the deepest affordability levels. Since 2022, we have approved the development of more than 27,000 new units of new housing through the land use process, with more than half being affordable homes. We recognize the severity of the decades in the making housing crisis, the impact it is having on working and middle-class New Yorkers, and the urgency required of us to advance bold solutions that match the scale of this challenge. The numbers behind this crisis are very, very clear. The citywide housing vacancy rate is 1.4%, the lowest in generations, with an even lower rate for the most affordable homes. The median home value in New York City is near $700,000, putting affordable home ownership out of reach for most residents. Rents remain too high. Housing insecurity is widespread, and evictions and homelessness are still soaring. The impacts of these housing pressures are profoundly unequal, with a disproportionate effect on Black and Latino communities. Our city's Black community, the population itself, has declined by nearly 200,000 people over the past 2 decades, a deeply alarming exodus that is attributed to rising costs and the lack of opportunities for families to own a home. With so much at stake for the future of our city and the communities we represent, the Council could not sit idly by. We know inaction has a cost, especially on residents who are on the brink and struggling to get by. New Yorkers are looking for us for leadership. That is why we have repeatedly taken decisive action to advance housing solutions, from our land use approvals of housing to making My Fair Housing Framework Act law, clarifying the shared responsibility of all communities to create housing for New Yorkers. We are proud of what we were able to secure through the Council's City for All housing plan, in conjunction with modifications to the City of Yes Zoning for Housing Opportunity Citywide Text Amendment. City for All was formulated with the input of council members, advocates, and most importantly, New Yorkers, who made their housing concerns and challenges abundantly clear to this council. We heard from residents who need more support to stay in their communities, who are struggling to afford to buy a home, and those just trying to find some semblance of stability. While we recognize the importance of zoning reform to build more housing, especially amidst a housing shortage, zoning changes alone will not keep New Yorkers housed or address growing housing insecurity. Our city needs an all-of-the-above approach so that growth is paired with infrastructure investments, deeper housing affordability, home ownership, and tenant protections, and much more. With the support of everyone here, we successfully secured a historic $5 billion commitment. I like that noise. Towards key investments. With this funding, we will make homes more affordable and preserve existing affordable housing, including NYCHA and Mitchell-Lamas, support home ownership, protect tenants, strengthen our city housing agencies, invest in the infrastructure of communities, and encourage neighborhood rezoning plans that can produce even more housing in the coming years. This is the level of investment that New Yorkers require to address their wide-ranging housing needs. We heard voices of community residents who participated in the public review process, including those who are concerned about what City of Yes will mean for their neighborhood. We believe our modifications to the zoning reforms balance respect for neighborhood character, because not all districts are alike, with the citywide need to build more housing, especially affordable homes. We are showing it is possible to ensure every neighborhood contributes to creating more homes for New Yorkers while respecting the differences across neighborhoods and investing to make housing more affordable, home ownership more attainable and sustainable, and our city much stronger. Altogether, our City for All plan and the modified zoning changes are estimated to create more than 80,000 new homes over the next 15 years. And under this City Council, we are demonstrating that our city can overcome challenging circumstances and major differences by coming together towards a shared goal. Even if we don't agree on how to address this housing crisis and affordability crisis, we can agree that bold actions are indeed necessary and that our constituents are counting on us to confront this crisis head on. Advancing solutions to difficult problems is truly not easy, take it from me. But it can be done when we unite behind the common good and focus on what is best for New Yorkers and the future of our communities and the city that we all love. On Thursday at our stated meeting, we will vote on this proposal, and I look forward to advancing a more affordable, livable, and sustainable future for all. Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll be calling up Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, our Land Use Committee Chair.
All right, buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
So the South Bronx knows firsthand the reality of New York's housing crisis. I myself, as a child growing up in the South Bronx, remember what it was like moving with my family from one place to another to search for an affordable apartment. This is one of the reasons why I made the creation of 100% affordable housing a priority during my tenure here in the council. As such, District 17 has created over 10,000 units of 100% affordable housing since I've been elected into the office, which is the most in the City Council during this time frame. However, while there are districts like mine and those of my colleagues in the Bronx who are doing more than their fair share in creating affordable housing, the reality is that some districts create little to no affordable housing in that same time frame. Speaker Adrian Adams and this body recognize this inequality. And that is why the council pushed unapologetically to adopt the Fair Housing Framework legislation. And while the City of Yes was a critical first step in beginning to address the affordable housing crisis citywide, my district and the City Council also knew that it was just one piece of the puzzle. Led by Speaker Adrian Adams, City for All understood that zoning alone could not solve our housing crisis. We needed tangible results, which could only be achieved if significant investments for deeper affordability, ironclad protections for the preservation of current affordable housing, and funding for increased agency staffing were put in place. And we did just that, securing a historic $5 billion commitment that will provide vital resources for New Yorkers for generations to come. Ultimately, the City for All plan, which we will be adopting on Thursday, will make New York City a more sustainable, equitable, and affordable place to live. Now, I have to put in a plug. I would also, I want to put a plug in terms of my legislation that we're passing tomorrow, Intro 850, which we voted out of the council at Thursday stated. While the City Council can approve as many projects that come to us as part of the ULA process, we need the city and HPD to close on those projects in a timely fashion, which unfortunately is not always the case. Intro 850 would require HPD to report biannually on which projects are in their pipeline are scheduled to close during the June and December closing periods. And if they do not, the reason as to why those projects did not close and when are the expected closing dates. Ultimately, until we have a transparency in closing process, approved projects are nothing more than a good headline. Our communities need more than headlines. They need projects to be approved and developed so that they can have a safe place to live. Thank you.
That's a good piece. That's a good piece. Thank you, thank you. We will now hear from Councilmember Pierina Sanchez, our Housing and Buildings Committee Chair.
Yay! You can do this. You can do this.
We're almost there. We're almost there. She literally held this baby in until we
Water might break. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pierina Sanchez, the chair of the Committee on Housing and Buildings in the City Council. And I just want to make this very brief statement, right? What we all know. We are in the throes of a housing crisis and an affordability crisis. We have a near zero vacancy rate for the most affordable of our homes. Just earlier today, I was commemorating the one-year anniversary of the building collapse at 1915 Billingsley. And today still, there are residents that lived in those units that you can now see a gaping hole at 1915 Billingsley who have not been able to find a home. Because the reality is that if you lose your affordable home, you cannot find another. We have a duty, a responsibility to do everything in our power as city council members, as leaders in the city, to deliver for New Yorkers. For my community, the housing crisis has meant tenants at the brink of eviction, New Yorkers unable to stay in the neighborhoods that they call home, daily struggles to put food on the table. This is our daily life in the West Bronx. But let me be clear, as housing chair, and I know that all of us as city council members hear from New Yorkers from all across the city about the way that this crisis affects them. While building a little more housing in every neighborhood, as proposed and now modified by the City Council, in the City of Yes for Housing zoning text amendment might ease the housing crisis in the long term, zoning reforms introduced in the plan were not enough to meet the critical moment. That is what we heard over 15 hours of testimony from all across the city. And that is why I am so proud of the tremendous work of Speaker Adrian Adams, her staff, and the council. What we've done to secure $5 billion in additional investment through the Council's City for All housing plan. Now let's be clear, this is what happens when we organize together, when we have a strong leader. Behind the scenes, I saw headlines in the press that said, shocking investment. No, no, it wasn't shocking. The Speaker was hard at work for us. And the council members and the advocates were also hard at work for months trying to secure these investments. Zoning reform is a critical piece, but it's not enough to meet the wide-ranging housing needs on its own. City for All is a response to what we are doing to help New Yorkers right now to meet this moment. As a part of this plan, the Council has taken a multi-pronged approach. We're deepening affordability and preserving affordable housing through multi-billion-dollar commitments, as you've heard. We're supporting and prioritizing affordable homeownership all across the city, doubling the funding, for example, of the Home First Down Payment Assistance Program. We're making additional investments in infrastructure, $2 billion to invest in improvements to stormwater and drainage systems, street improvements, and flood mitigation. We're protecting tenants and bolstering the use of housing vouchers. $10 million for City FEPS vouchers, that's 20,000 families that are going to be stabilized. And we're increasing city agency capacity with hundreds of new staff positions added to HPD, to DCP, and to the Department of Buildings. Tied to these efforts, we're also going to continue neighborhood planning, because City of Yes and paired with City for All is one step, but there are neighborhoods that still have a lot more potential to deliver for the City of New York. Make no mistake, the plan brought forward by the City Council in conjunction with City of Yes, City for All, this is the most pro-housing plan in our city's history. If we can meet this moment, this can be an inflection point with impacts for generations. It's my plan. It's my right. This plan can help lay the foundation to allow families to raise their children in our neighborhoods, grow up here, call this city, the city of opportunity, a home. It takes an incredible amount of courage to do what you think is right in the face of opposition, and this is a controversial vote that we have coming in 2 days. But I'm just going to not turn to these council members because they're the ones leading the charge here, but I'm speaking to the council members who might be on the fence, who are considering their votes. Think about the bigger picture. Think about stabilizing tens of thousands of families in their home. Think about the next generation. Think about how if we vote yes and we secure these $5 billion of investments for New Yorkers, everyone can win. Thank you.
I think your papi's over there very proud. ¿Cómo está, papi? Estamos muy orgullosos de ella también, no te preocupes. We will now hear from Barika Williams, the Executive Director of ANHD.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Barika Williams. I'm the Executive Director of ANHD, or the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development. I am proud and thrilled to stand here with this group of people. I want to first and foremost thank Speaker Adams. We wouldn't be here without her leadership, without her really shepherding this through. To thank Councilmember Salamanca, ours and mine Housing Chair Perina Sanchez, and to also name and thank Councilmember Kevin Riley for leading and running a heroic and marathon hearing and really putting on a demonstration of what it is to do civic engagement. So also want to name that. ANHD has been fighting this fight around housing, affordable housing, and housing justice here in New York City in all of our neighborhoods for 50 years now. We care about this deeply. We think about the weeds, the ins and outs. And what I love so much about what the council did is understand that, yes, we want to be a city for yes, but we also have to make sure everybody is a part of that, that it is for everyone, that sometimes when it's about just saying yes, some people, as Councilmember Salamanca mentioned, some people do and step up and other people get to say no. And so what the council has really shepherded is making sure that every single neighborhood and every single corner of the city is responsible for being a part of this affordable housing solution. That includes not just new construction, but preservation. That includes thinking about our rents. That includes thinking about home ownership. That means looking at our building conditions. That means looking at NYCHA, right? There are all of these different corners that make up what it is and how difficult it is to find an affordable home here in New York. I also want to name some specifics that actually are in the zoning, and so maybe they don't get credit for, but that the council really fought to make sure ended up in the zoning side of things so that we could get the full affordability that we needed, including mapping MIH option 3, which is the deep affordability, as a standalone, so that now council members can say, I want deep affordability in my neighborhood and I want it guaranteed. We weren't able to do that before. To say that 20% of the universal affordability protections can now be at 40% AMI, so that we can again get those deep affordability levels. I know this seems numbers and wonky, but this is the difference between rents that are $2,500, $2,800, which in the South Bronx nobody is affording, right? Versus units that are down below $1,800, sometimes $1,200 or less. This is when it actually reaches our families. And importantly, including an affordability band in the town center requirement, so that affordable is required everywhere. Everybody's got to do their part, not just around building, but on building affordable, because that's how we get our way out of this. It can't be that some people get to just do market and other folks are responsible for building their affordable housing. It's such a critical change that this council really shepherded and led. And lastly, I want to say a shout out to my fellow housing advocates. Woo, right? Because we have been fighting this fight to say we need a different way of doing housing planning here in New York City for years, right? And I think that this is really the beginning of New York City's leadership and New York City's neighborhoods being able to step up and say, we can do something better for our place and our communities. So thank you to the council. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you, Barika. We will now hear from Christy Pale, CEO and Executive Director of the Center for New York City Neighborhoods.
Thank you so much. It is, as Barika said, an absolute pleasure and honor to be here. My name is Christy Peel. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of the Center for New York City Neighborhoods. Our mission is to promote and protect affordable homeownership so families can thrive and build strong communities all across the city. We just have a tremendous gratitude to the Speaker, Chair Sanchez, Chair Salamanca, Chair Riley, for including such a historic level of commitment to invest in not just preserving affordable homeownership, but creating an incredible promise of future homeownership, especially through expanding Home First, not only in dollars, but expanding the eligibility for Home First. That's the city's landmark down payment assistance program. It is the door open to homeownership for many families who are renting today, who would otherwise be owning and creating more opportunity in the rental market as well. As we've engaged in the City of Yes conversation, we got so many questions from homeowners across the city, and they said, what does City of Yes mean to me? And I think as we dove into this once-in-a-lifetime zoning text amendment, we realized that zoning represents the potential, a promise. But for many people, government potential and government promise in the past created many negative impacts for families and communities. We know about redlining. We know about predatory lending. We know about urban renewal that has really had very negative effects and continues to impact families and communities today. So the concerns and the questions that folks have about the potential, the unknown with rezonings, I think is really important to lean into. But City for All answers that question with a yes and. We can take the promise and make it real with this incredible $5 billion commitment. It answers the unknown. with real concrete promises, not only for down payment assistance, home repair, outreach, assistance for Mitchell-Lamas. These are all the ways in which we can help people build equity and be part of New York City's future. So again, also we are really excited about taking the first step in making accessory dwelling units part of our neighborhoods, part of the new housing solution, expanding homeownership and allowing people to grow their families in place, grow their families in the communities that they've invested in. So again, thank you, Speaker Adams, for your tremendous leadership. Thank you to all of the council. I think anybody that had a concern on the council about supporting this plan can know that with the City for All, we're going to make it happen. So again, thank you for your support, and we look forward to working with the council and the administration and making all of these dreams a reality.
Whew. We have a few more speakers, so just hold on. We're now here from Siobhan Small, Executive Director of Legal Aid Services, NYC.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. So really appreciate Speaker Adams and the City Council for your incredible leadership and advocacy in getting the $5 billion investment across the finish line. It is truly an inspiring example of leadership fighting for the people it serves. So my name is Siobhan Small, and I am the Executive Director of Legal Services NYC, the largest free civil legal services provider in the country. Ask any New Yorker, and they will give it to you straight. It is not easy living in New York City. Tenants are up against a lot. So I'm from the Bronx, so I really appreciate everything that you folks have done. And there was a time when places like the Bronx were considered devastating, burning. Now gentrification is creeping deep into the boroughs, including into the Bronx. Rents get higher every year. Landlords take forever to fix your radiator, your elevator, your hot water heater, if at all. And all of us New Yorkers live with the very real fear that one day, and one day soon, we may have to find a new apartment, and hopefully one that we could afford. Which is why New York City has some of the strongest tenant protections and rights in the country. But we need legal advocates to help assert those rights, especially amid one of the worst housing crises in the in the recent history. One program that aims to protect tenants and keep their homes is the city's Anti-Harassment and Tenant Protection Program, or AHTP, which funds legal service providers like Legal Services NYC and a lot of my colleagues here to provide free legal assistance and counseling to tenants to fight landlord harassment, illegal rent hikes, get repairs, protect them against other efforts to push them out of these rapidly gentrifying neighborhoods. So now, thanks to Speaker Adams and the City Council, the City for All plan, most of the slashed funding has been restored to the city's AHTP program, which is vital in, again, keeping vulnerable New Yorkers out of the courtroom and in their homes, keeping housing affordable, and allowing us to proactively fix dangerous problems before they snowball into life-threatening conditions such as high-rise fires and building collapses. So Speaker Adams and the New York City Council, we cannot thank you enough for this incredible funding victory and for all the added tenant protections and safeguards in the plan and keeping tenants safely housed. We've heard it before, but of course I'll say it again. We cannot simply build our way out of this housing crisis. We must also protect the homes we're in so that New York City truly remains a city for all. Thank you for your leadership and advocacy in making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, Adrian Holder, attorney in charge of civil practices at the Legal Aid Society.
So thank you so much. Look at everyone. You promised us. You said together, New Yorkers and advocates, elected officials, together, we can make New York a better place. So I'd like to thank the Speaker, Speaker Adams, Deputy Speaker Ayala, Chairs Sanchez, Salamanca, Riley. What a great thing that is going on. You all understood the assignment, and you delivered. Good morning, or good afternoon. I'm Adrian Holder, the Chief Attorney of the Legal Aid Society Civil Practice. Today, we gather happily to celebrate a milestone in the fight for housing justice. The inclusion of bold tenant protections in the Council's housing plan. This plan represents a crucial step toward ending the cycle of displacement that has plagued our communities across New York City for far too long. A centerpiece of this plan is the increased funding for city FEPs, an invaluable housing voucher program that has already transformed lives across our 5 boroughs. This additional funding is more than an investment, it's a lifeline for thousands of New Yorkers. It will help more families break free from the vicious cycle of eviction, homelessness, and poverty and secure stability of permanent housing. City FEPS isn't just a program, it's a promise that we as a city are committed to lifting up our neighbors and providing them with the tools to thrive, not just to survive, but to thrive. And you all have always made that the promise here. Equally important is the restoration of $7.6 million in funding to the Anti-Harassment Tenant Protection Program, baseline funding over the course of the 3-year contracts each year. This program empowers tenants to fight back against harassment, unsafe conditions, and illegal rent hikes. It's a vital resource for holding unscrupulous landlords accountable and ensuring every New Yorker can live safely and with dignity in their own home. At the Legal Aid Society, our dedicated team of attorneys and paralegals and advocates see the impact of these programs every single day. We witness firsthand how they literally save lives, as well as keep families together and preserve the fabric of our communities. On behalf of the Legal Aid Society, I thank you, Speaker Adams, and this wonderful and progressive body, the City Council, for your visionary and unwavering commitment to fight for housing justice in the City for All housing plan. Thank you.
Okay, we're now moving to Q&A. We will be on topic first.
How many votes do we have? Is our whip in the house? Our whip's not in the house. Let's just say we feel very good about the vote, the upcoming vote. You know, Councilmember Sanchez summed it up very, very well. The conversations have been exactly what she said, looking at not just our singular districts, which we know are vital. Our districts put us here. As a council member, we represent the entire city. So we have to take a look at the global view of the entire city, the impact of what no housing, no significant affordable housing, no significant zoning changes since 1961, and what that has done to our city. It's devastated our city. As been said, vacancy rate almost 0%. That's unheard of. This is New York. So our conversations have been to encourage our colleagues to please take an expansive view, not just one little snapshot, which is vital and important, and we know that, but those also are the considerations that we have made in our modifications to create City for All.
So you have 26 votes, or you confidently say you have 26 votes to pass this on Thursday?
I feel good about 26 votes to pass this on Thursday. I got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I'm going to stick on the 26 for now. We'll see. We'll stick there. Good. Oh.
Talk about the increase in funding for the City FEPS program. There's currently appeals to the judge's order denying your lawsuit to implement the laws that you passed. How does the expanded funding affect that ongoing litigation?
You want to take that one, Deputy Speaker?
Could you repeat the question? I was daydreaming.
Oh,
I mean, obviously, this is a huge win. That legislative, action is still being litigated. So we're still talking about, changes in the rules that allow folks to become eligible. So they're two kind of separate things. And this is a huge win because it adds volume to the number of vouchers that already exist in the universe of City FEPS, and allows families that are primarily sheltered in temporary housing an opportunity to find, a more permanent place to live.
Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.